Book and a Bev. Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of A Book and a Bev. We are your hosts, Briony, Ellie and Georgia, and this week we are back with part 2 of Tower of Dawn, also known in my book as Tower of Yawn. Funny play on words.
Joke.
Yeah,
it's a good joke.
Well, to be fair, to give a bit of context for our listeners, we're going to talk about what we're drinking at the moment, and this book is so boring that Georgia can't find an appropriate name for her blood red drink.
It's not necessarily blood red. It's kind of like
pink.
a pinkish tinge. So I was saying something about the unborn child of Duva, the duvet. However, I think that might be a little bit too far. So we're going to say it is. Come back to me. Come back to me.
Okay, we'll circle
But it's just mixed berry cruiser for those who are wondering. In a nice crazy glass.
Well,
What have you
again, I was wanting to try and drink some sort of alcoholic coffee, but every time we record, it's really warm now. In between episodes, it's torrential rain and flooding, but we record and it's a heat wave. So for the time being, I'm drinking Jack and Coke as per normal, and I'm going to say it's for the Valg inside of Duva. We're going to go with a duvet theme.
Fair enough. Look, mine isn't quite so relevant to today's book. As you guys are aware, I'm not really drinking at the moment on my health kick. That ended today because I finished Kingdom of Ash. So now I'm drinking red wine, which is an appropriate drink for how I feel at the moment, which is dead and empty inside.
You're Tourmaline.
I am Tourmaline.
Okay, well, I think I've come up with yeah. So this is going to be the unborn child of Duva inside my cup.
Wowzers. Okay.
I'm drinking its spirit.
Drink it up.
This is so unfortunate.
Okay, well, shall we begin? Where did we leave off? Can anyone remember where we were? There was screaming.
Nesryn was going with Sartak to see the Rukin and was like, fuck you, Kale, we don't keep promises.
That's right. How could I forget? Well, we'll start off back then with Irene and Kale, and they've gone off to the library today just for some light reading. And Kale is like, wow. He's Owen Wilson.
Wow. He's Owen Wilson.
We're in the library. Kale's like, wow, this place is fucking huge. And Irene's like, yeah, it's because we're all very smart here. You wouldn't know that feeling, would you? Kale learns that the library is 1,500 years old, which is a lot older than he is. Not as much as... I was going to say, it's not...
a lot older than him.
No, it's
21 years on it.
Actually.
Hey, it's fucking old and it's fucking big. That's what we've established. He tells Irene about the old king and how he was invaded by a Vag demon and how his last attempt at a gift was to destroy all magic and their wielders so that the Valg could not use them against them. So the king was like, yes, I'm going to possess this last shred of my humanity and wield it against this demon prince inside my brain, and I will use that by killing everyone else. Which is like, you could have banished them. There were other options.
I won't fail at saving the world if there's no people left to stop me.
The only person I need to save is my little child.
Baby Dorian.
Baby Dolores.
I'm not even touching that. I'm just gonna ignore that.
I'm just picturing like a Barbie with its head like shaved. It's just got little
Brittany circa 2007. Things got weird after the collar came off.
That could be Dorian's nickname, Dollhairs.
We won't give anyone any context to it. We'll cut all this out and then next week.
Go ahead.
Dollhairs. Anyway,
Okay.
fuck it up.
We then go to Nesryn's point of view, which is where I actually want to be for this entire book. They are setting up camp after flying for hours, and Nesryn asks Sartak if the stories about him bother him. And he's like, no, I'm actually quite comfortable in my masculinity. But then Sartak asks her if the stories about her bother her. And she's like, what are you talking about? There's no stories about me. I'm just an immigrant woman in a white colonizer country. And Sartak is like, what about the impossible arrow that saved the shapeshifter's life? And it's like, oh, he's noted her backstory. He then says that the stories called her Neith's arrow, the goddess of archery and the hunt. And Nesryn's like, well, that is actually quite nice. I quite like that. Might make that my Instagram handle.
So then we're back with Irene and Kale, and they're eating dinner at the Torre. And the
I
cook,
thought you were going to say they were eating each other out.
It's a good snack.
Irene
Good
is eating out Kale.
I'll remind you of home.
Can people just not lick each other's assholes? Like, that's...
Yeah, look, I support people's choices, but ass eating is an interesting choice to make.
It feels unhygienic. The cook ends up filling their bellies until they physically cannot eat anymore, which just sounds like me every night, but I am also the cook. And Kale ends up staying the night at the Torre because it's late and he's low-key a pussy, but we already knew this. Also, he'd likely get kidnapped on his way home, so it's like everyone agrees it's safer for you just to stay put tonight, sir. Irene shows him to a room and she's sort of like lingering. It's a bit awkward, but it's also a little bit cute. And he's just like, all right, off you go. Thanks for that. See you the fuck later. And she's like,
all right, get the
cool.
fuck out. I need to get dressed. It's bit inappropriate.
So then the next morning, he goes back to the castle alone because Irene has a meeting with Hafiza. And when he gets back, he goes to dismount from his horse, but hears Shen running over, which is one of the guards. If we had not made that clear last week, he is one of the guards.
Yeah.
But his name's actually Shin, and he's just a walking Shin. It's triggering Kale.
I know. Oh. Okay, so Shen, right, Shen's running. Shin. So he's putting a glove on one at a time. And Kale realizes that one of his arms is metal. And then Kale's like, oh my god, other disabled people exist in the world.
I'm not the only person.
I mean, it's not just about me and my journey. So Shen explains that he lost his arm in battle and it took him a long while to get back to this place of feeling capable again. And Kale's like, this is a bit odd, but also this is good. This is good. I'm glad that I can see you able to do your normal life with your disability. This is great for me. And it's like, Kale, people have been telling you this the entire time, but in your own time, we're here for your journey.
When Kale arrives back to his room, he sees the note that Nesryn had left, being like, I'm yeeting with Sartak to go ride that dick into the sunset, literally. And Kale decides that he still holds himself to those promises, even though Nesryn does not. And it's like, mate, for once in your goddamn life, pick up on the vibes.
For once in your fucking life, listen to a woman.
Is not, for once in your life, listen to the women. Listen. When Irene gets to Kale's room, she's practically like skipping. She's like, oh my god, look at us. But Kale is being a fuckface. A huge fuckface, in fact. And we're literally like you could probably pick up, we're all back to hating him and his stupid fucking attitude. Irene is over it too, and she's like, well, I really enjoyed yesterday, but I suppose I will just go fuck myself. She leaves
to his knees and does it to his knees.
Just grabs his legs. They're all floppy. She picks him up, she bends his knees, and she just does it with his feet.
And she slowly backs away with the fingers up.
She takes off one of his shoes and one of his socks and just walks away.
Why is she stealing his footwear now?
That's to be like, because you can't fucking chase me.
Oh my god.
Get this back.
Okay, Irene leaves and bumps into Hussar, who basically tells her that Nesryn left, and Irene tells Hussar that she has to go back to do something with Kale, but she knows going back to Kale is a bad idea because she's like, well, now I know why you're in a fucked up mood. But anyways, so she does the next thing that she knows how to do and goes out into the streets to help the poor peasants.
To help the poor people.
Goes out into the poor streets to help the peasants and starts healing people.
I'm so sorry. I just can't stop laughing because she was like, I can't go back to Kale. I can't go back to Kale.
She's just... she's humiliated.
She grabs a sock. She's like, I'm going to keep this. And then when she meets her back, she's like, I've got a sock for you.
He sniffs it and he's like, smells like coward to me.
Smells like no legs. No. Okay, so Irene heals a bunch of those poor peasants and then is so antsy and pissed off that she just walks back to the castle at night. Like, this bitch doesn't know that she's getting fucking stalked.
Look, she's very similar to Kale in that regard.
Yeah, that's why they're well suited, both fucking idiots at times. So, it's like 11 p.m, she walks towards Kale's rooms, and then she hears something following her. And this is where Georgia tunes the fuck out, because if I'm in a dark room, right, I can't see anything, it's pitch black, and I hear running
Nope.
at me,
Yeah, that's not good.
I am checking the fuck out. You better believe that I don't give a fuck. I am on that floor, curled up in a ball, crying like a fucking baby.
That's your defense mechanism. It's not to run away. It's to like, I'll just stop right here.
But where the fuck are you going to run? Especially when it's pitch black in the dark. You don't know which way those steps are coming from because there's just, obvious. But she starts to run. She does what Georgia does not do. She runs. She hears her mother's voice telling her to run faster, faster, faster. And then she gets to Kale's rooms and she like bursts in the door. And like Kayla's like, whoa, what the actual fuck? You stole my fucking shoe and sock and now you're just running in here at all times of the night. And she's like, lock the fucking doors. And it's just like,
He's like, I
the
can't,
door
I have
moment.
no legs.
I have no legs and you took my fucking shoe, bitch. But yes, so end up being able to lock the doors and then they hear like this sound and it's like a slithery little snake. It's like, Irene. Big yikes. Cal like grabs Irene's face in the moment. He's like, we'll get through this together. It's super cute, whatever. Especially after she stole the sock and shoe. So, but
He's forgiven
everything
her.
is like dead silent now as well. And there's no one out there when the guards come to check. So super iffy vibes.
Then Kashin, that's right. Kashin is summoned and you can just imagine that he's like, what the fuck has actually happened in my beautiful goddamned palace? He's worried about Irene because that's his pussy. She explains briefly what happened and he orders more guards to be placed around Kale's rooms and he offers her an escort to the Torre, but she says that she feels safer with legless Kale.
Said no one ever.
We should also
Why?
clarify, while they were hiding from that voice, like, Kale was like, we need to barricade the doors, and Irene was like, alright, I'm gonna move fucking furniture. This tiny woman's, like, pushing all this shit around, and you know it's antiques. Like, you know, in rich people houses, it's antique furniture.
It's heavy. It's heavy.
It's heavy. And Kale's like, wow, she's so strong.
Home is not a place, it's a feeling, that's right. Although Aelin did once say that it was her place. And now Irene is like, it's fine. He's got a big home, it would appear to be.
Oh my god, Ellie, you're on a
His
tangent.
dick is just fucking huge.
Whoa,
He's actually got
again.
a third leg. This is giant dick.
That's how he's been walking this entire time, just popping.
Just topping on his penis.
It's actually
Pogo
right in the
stick.
middle.
Yeah, that tracks. Okay, Irene stays with Kale and she's like staying in his bed and he stays on watch because again, he can do much if the demon comes back other than yell and flap his penis around. They briefly talk about Nesryn leaving and he tells her that he promised Nesryn, Nez of the Rim, an adventure. So she deserves one. And it's like, yes, Kale, she does deserve one. She is Nez of the Rim. She has stories about her being some form of goddess. We enjoy it.
And
We
what
do.
the fuck do you have, Kale? 2 not working fucking legs and 1
Look.
pogo stick.
We sound very ableist right now. I appreciate
me
that and I recognise that this is purely satirical, all pointed on Kale. Just to
I would like
clarify.
to recognise, I'm actually at the point where I've forgiven Kale. Ellie's not there yet.
No.
I'm just on for the ride. I like Kale. I think he redeemed himself in the end, but I also think that he's still a fucking idiot. Like, he's
Yeah.
a fucking idiot.
Okay, well, we're not there yet, but we will get there if we can continue without going into any more tangents
No,
about
we
shoe
can't.
stealing. So Irene asks what Kale deserves, and he says nothing. Ellie agrees. Irene disagrees, and then
I'm
she
with
falls
Irene.
asleep. She's like, I don't agree to that. No further discussion.
Peace out.
Then the next morning he wakes up early and goes to train with the palace guards because he's now overcoming that trauma of what happened to his palace guards after
Yeah.
seeing Shen's robot arm.
Brulo.
Yeah, super
Rest
sad
in
what happened
peace.
to them.
Then we dive into part 2 of Tower of Dawn, which is called Mountains and Seas. And we start at chapter 29, and Nesryn and Sartak are facing a bad storm while they're camped out. Nesryn is freezing, and she thinks about Aelin and her powers. The Queen would show up when and where she wished, at precisely the moment she intended. Nesryn supposed that was why she liked the Queen. There were plans so long in the making that for someone who let the world deem her unchecked and brash, Aelin showed a great deal of restraint in keeping it all hidden. Yes,
That
she
is a very good
does.
point.
We get another quote. And as that storm raged around Nesryn and Sartak, she wondered if Aelin Galathinius might yet have some card up her sleeve that even her court might not know about. She prayed Aelin did. for all their sakes.
Big yikes.
Nesryn and Sartak fly the next day, and they discuss the Dargan and the Rukin being one and the same at one point. They also discuss how Ardalin wasn't welcoming to Nesryn, like, obviously, as an immigrant coming from another land and being a woman. She ends up calling Sartak Your Highness, and he begs her not to call him that in front of the Rukin because they teased him about it for years, like about being a prince, and when he's their captain. He's, in fact, the captain now.
He could be my captain.
He could.
They arrive at Sartak's clan's homeland. That's a mouthful. And we meet Vorte. It's spelt with a B, but it's not pronounced as a B. It's pronounced with a V.
Everyone? In the audiobook, it's a V? It's not Borty?
It's not Borty. It's
I've just been thinking Borty the whole time.
Vorte.
Like a Bort.
I always called her Bort.
No, her name is Vorte.
Vorte. Okay, that does sound better than Borty.
It's nice, isn't it? It's nice. I quite enjoy it.
Borty, the sporty spice.
Vorte is Sartak's hearth sister, and she's also
Hearth, not half. Everything is ruining.
I'm sorry.
I can't say anything.
I'm just out here to crush your dreams. So, Sartak's hearth sister and the granddaughter and heir of his hearth mother, Hurlun. I actually can't remember this one.
Hulu.
We get taken into their little cave area thing, and then we meet Falcon Anair. He's an apparent merchant who has been a guest here, who is also seemingly from Ardalin. He gives weird vibes.
Iffy vibes.
Vorte seems to agree. She takes Nez of the Rim away while he and Sartak have a little chatty chat and shows her to her rooms. And, get this, she welcomes Nesryn home. It's beautiful. So, that afternoon, Nez of the Rim and Sartak are eating each other out.
I wish.
We wish that was how it went.
I got really excited for a second.
I want explicit smut between so many of the characters in this series. Like, I need it.
Okay, so they're not eating each other out. They're in fact just eating food. And he tells her that his hearth mother is not here because she's gone. She's gone on some, like, adventure.
She's dead.
For 2 days. She's dead. She heated herself. Yeah, moving on. So they have to wait for her. In the meantime, he will give her a tour and they will do some archery play. How fun. Awesome.
Some kind of kink archery play.
Archery play.
Like to shoot arrows at you, but instead of arrows, it's actually just ejaculate at a high velocity.
So no, I had pictured him standing with an apple just on his butt crack, and she's like, stood still.
The arrow actually has a dildo on the end.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's all fun and games.
So he apparently has told people that he may be bringing her.
I love it.
So everyone is so super duper excited to meet her. I'm happy for her. I'm happy she's happy.
Sartak and Nesryn are up early the next morning and they go to get his Rook feed, and he tells her about the way in which Rookin are trained from the age of 4 to ride their Rooks. They get onto the topic of Erewhon and how they think it's possible that he doesn't want to conquer but rather destroy as a whole. They then go to the training area and Nesryn is asked to shoot some dildos, and she does so with alarming accuracy in all their assholes.
She's like, I know you're all so excited to see me. Bend down and take your pants off.
No, she shoots some arrows and she does so with alarming accuracy. It's great. And Vorte's like, bitch, show me how you did that. Show me how you just did that magical experience. Show me right now, please. And so she does. Nesryn teaches Ameni how she weighs and takes into account all the other possibilities that can, happen when you are shooting an arrow. Then Sartak's hearth mother arrives back and they go to visit her. But on their way, we get this little fucking tidbit. And are you fucking ready? It's beautiful. And I'm relieved to see that the reality lives up to the legend. Nesryn chuckled, grateful to be back on safer ground. You had any doubts? They reached the landing that would take them to the Great Hall. Sartak let her fall into step beside him. The reports left out some key information. It made me doubt their accuracy. It was the sly gleam in his eye that made Nesryn angle her head. What exactly did they fail to mention? They reached the Great Hall, empty save for a cloaked figure just barely visible on the other side of the fire pit, and someone sitting beside her. But Sartak turned to her, examining her from head to toe and back again. There was little that he missed. They didn't mention that you're beautiful. Nesryn opened and closed her mouth in what she was sure was an unflattering impression of a fish on dry land. And then he fucking winks and walks away.
I love him so much.
Stop it! I'm obsessed.
So Nesryn meets Edge, Sartak's half-mother. And I'm going to say half, and I'm sorry, but it's happening. When you've reread a series over, like, in double digits for years, it's going to take so long to unprogram this. Edge looks Nesryn over and then asks them both to sit. The merchant is also present here, like, for some reason. We soon find out why. Because turns out old mate Edge has been hunting the fuck-off spiders as large as a horse, or the Karankui, because they have been stealing roots, hatchlings, and eggs. And we learned that this particular merchant is the merchant who gave Aelin the, 6x6 square of spider silk in Assassin's Blade that she put in Sam's suit. And the merchant is basically trying to figure out a way to get his youth back because, as we remember, in exchange for the spider silk, he gave them, a whole chunk of his good life. So he's come to the southern continent to find out if he can kill spiders or how to do it. Edge is like, Sartak, you need to find the spiders when they next take hatchlings, and the merchant will go with you. And Sartak is like, okay, sure, seems like good vibes. But when the merchant leaves, Edge looks to Nesryn and is like, it is starting anew, isn't it? The one who sleeps has awoken. Big yikes.
Yeah. Also, it is at this point I'd like to throw out the very iconic Australian analogy. We didn't come to fuck spiders.
Not today, not tomorrow, not ever.
No, just to kill him. We also learn that Sartak hasn't come just for her knowledge, because he's coming to her now. The dildo has brought him to that edge. Not his Hearth Mother's edge, no, just his own. Okay, we're moving on.
Jesus Christ, Ellie.
He also asks for her support in sending armies to fight Erewhon. He asks her what she knows, and she says she needs to rest because, remember, she's very, very old. And then she will tell them. We learn that Edge is a sacred story keeper. Some might say the three of us are also sacred story keepers.
We are fucked. We are the most fucked storytellers.
Don't yuck someone's yum. We are someone's yum. Okay, a storm is gathering. So they gather around the campfire and tell some stories. We learn that before any men, fae, the like, were here, the ground opened up as quick as a flash of lightning and the spiders and other animals of darkness crawled out. We get a quote. War waged in the east, the ancient fae realms. Interesting. 3 demon kings against a fae queen and her armies. Demons that pass through a door between worlds to conquer our own. We learn that when the war was won, fae came back to this land to teach the people and the rooks how to kill the spiders. Again, we haven't just come here to fuck spiders. So they built watchtowers to watch for if a crack ever appears in the earth again. But they were basically abandoned, and now they are littered with traps. Sartak and Nesryn are to travel there to see if they can find any more information and any way to help them win this war. Sounds like a good plan. Again, we didn't come here to fuck spiders.
So, Kale and Irene are slowly chipping away at his healing. She's got a pick and she's chipping away at his kneecaps. They go back to the library to find more information and get pointed towards caves in the Sarah Oasis. Sure. They decide to go out for dinner in the town. It's some more weird vibes because it's almost a date, but it's not. But Kale explains to Irene that he hasn't been out just as Kale in forever, and neither has she just as Irene. So they say cheers, and we get this little quote. Maybe you and I will have to learn how to live if we survive this war. To being Kale and Irene, even just for a night. Very cute. They then get back to the Torre Renesmee, and Kale thanks Irene, and she thanks him back, and they brush hands. And it's those simple little touches that I'm like, oh, it makes me feral. But Kale says that he feels super light after his time with Irene. He ate a really healthy salad, and he's like, I feel light tonight.
Not bloated at all. Sartak and Nesryn head for a tower. And when they arrive, Nesryn takes the lead, and Sartak is a confident man that is secure in himself, and he's like, yes, you are a queen, you have experience hunting these foes, you take it. And then she springs a bunch of booby traps, and one goes off, it pulls a step out from beneath her, and she almost falls, but Sartak saves her. And he strokes her hair as she calms down, and I love it.
It's the simple things, it's the silent, it's the little touches, it's the moment.
When they finally get to like the bottom of this like staircase, they find a dungeon and they find some blades, which Sartak says like they look like they were likely made in Asterion by the Asterion smiths, like the Asterion horses in Assassin's Blade. So it just seems like that's Asterion. Asteri, if you will. The blade is covered in markings, likely spells against enemies, which is super interesting. Magic swords with markings.
Isn't that
They
crazy?
then find a message written in blood on the ground, and it says something like the Old Fae language, and they're like, oh my god, do you know how to translate? I know. And then like a voice, which again, George is running. If she hears running in a hallway, she's gone. I'm gone at this because a voice from above them, it says look up. But before they can think to do anything, it's a fucking spider.
It attacks Nesryn and Sartak, and they put up a fight, but they're not doing very well. Nekmin, a wolf, appears, and we're all like, Fenris? It tackles the spider, and they use this time to escape as they run, and they hear a yelp, which, if I heard a dog yelping, I'd be
my
like,
God.
no,
My
I'll
life is
sacrifice
not-
myself.
Yeah, my life is worth less than this dog's,
Yeah,
honestly.
pretty much. Then they see the spider follow them out, but it goes up instead of out, which again, confusing, but sure, spiders can go up things, and it's meaning to attack the wolf when it attempted to follow instead of them, which is like, oh shit, okay. So the wolf runs out, and then the spider goes like, psych, and tries to like jump on it, but then Kadara is there, and she rips the spider apart, limb from limb. When they go to the wolf, it's now changed into its human form. It's not Fenris, it's Falcon. He's a shapeshifter. He's struggling. He's in Struggle Town. But Sartak is like, fuck this guy. Shapeshifters are like dodgy little assassin and spies. Nesryn is like, boy, you better shape the fuck up. This shapeshifter just saved our lives, sir. Sort yourself out. And he's like, yes, wise woman, I shall. He goes and gets the bandages from Kadara's pack to help Nesryn patch up Falcon. And Falcon is like, you're not afraid of what I am? And she says, one of my friends is a shifter. And Bob's your uncle, what do you know?
I thought Bob your uncle was actually part of the quote. I was like, did I miss
why?
that? Why is Bob her uncle?
No, Falcon's her
guess
uncle, but Bob's your
Falcon
uncle.
is her uncle.
Yeah,
So-
that's why I put it in. Yeah.
It took a while to get there, but we got there.
We got there.
When they manage to trudge themselves back to the cave, Sartak is fuming. He speaks with Edge, and Vorte comes to Nesryn and is like, yo, what the fuck happened? Nesryn is basically pressured into telling Vorte everything. And Sartak isn't happy, but he follows Nesryn to her rooms. And I'm like, yes, they're going to fuck. But no, he asks her about the word keys.
Yeah, disappointing.
Very disappointing twist of events.
She's like taking her top off, and he's just like, what about these magic rocks?
What are these rocks? Is it rose quartz? Sartak says that Edge recalled something about them, and Nesryn is like, well, now you know why we need your father's armies. It's not like we're just here on a spring holiday. They're apparently flying for like another 2 towers soon, like as soon as Falcon's healed. So cool.
Yeah, and I just realised that you guys are all calling her Edge, and I've been calling her EJ.
Like she's
Like,
some
spell it out.
basketball player.
So, Kale can now move his leg up to his knee. He still can't stand, but the progress is great. We're getting there. They are having dinner with the royals, and Hazar is like, oh my god, Kale, I bet you're like so excited that Nesryn is back tomorrow. Like, you know, trying to be a right fucking cunt. And Kale's like, oh my god, Hazar, haven't you heard? She's staying with Sartak for another 3 weeks. Yo, big fat lols.
Do you not know? Because you don't know. You're not in the
You don't
loop,
know this.
Hazar. You're not in the
God,
loop.
Sorry.
I hate her. She just,
Hazar, haven't you checked the group chat?
Yeah. Hazar? Yeah. Not
Hazar.
Hazar.
Hazar!
Hazonk. That's what it is. Irene is going through an internal battle because she feels bad, because she doesn't want Nesryn to return, which is like, eek. Hazar is like, oh, well, I guess you also would know then that Erewhon and Aelin faced off in Skulls Bay. And Kale's like, what?
What do you mean
no, I
she was in Skull's Bay?
The Emperor literally stops eating to listen to what is going on, and they learn about Aylin's win at Skull's Bay, but then they also say that she went and burnt all of Ilway's coasts, which we know isn't true. They ask Kale if he can swear on his life, on Irene's life, that Aylin wouldn't seek to attack them and backtrack her oaths. And he doesn't say anything.
Okay.
And now I'm back to hating
Stupid
him.
fuck.
So they also dropped the bomb that he and Aylin were canoodling, as it were. And oh dearie me. The dinner turns rather rough while they all argue. Kashin seems to be inclined to agree with Irene and Kale, whereas Hazara and Aragon are like picking fights, which assholes. And also, if I were Irene and hearing like, you had former relations with someone who was meant to be a queen. Interesting. I thought you did not have a past before I existed.
Oh, God.
We shall have to remedy this.
Plot twist,
But-
Irene is actually the villain now and she's going to kill Aylin.
Yeah. Irene kills Erewhon to wear his skin and then tries to kill Aylin.
What a
dear,
twist
no.
of events.
She doesn't have a jealous bone in her body, bless her cotton socks. She's just like
She
the
does.
socks that she stole from Kale. She's like, you know what? Let
This
bygones
is
be
what
bygones.
matters.
He can't get anywhere because I've got his socks and shoes.
I've got his socks anyway, so he can't run to her if he tried. Also, if I saw Aylin, I think I would also fuck her too. Even though I'm straight, it would eventuate. So I fully stand by her decision to not fight with him. That's fine. But Kale is pissed by the time he leaves the dinner, and he keeps thinking that he can't trust Aylin. Now, everyone just strap in while I read you a series of quotes about why we hate Kale. Okay, first of all, he should have lied, should have sworn he trusted Aylin with his life, because Hazar had known that if she had asked him to swear upon Irene's life, even if their 36 gods did not care about him, he couldn't risk it.
Fuck off. We were all rooting for you.
Yeah,
Some
you
of
had
us.
a chance to redeem yourself right then and there. I reckon if he had stood up for Aylin there, I would have been more forthcoming to him.
Probably.
But he fucking didn't.
He did
No.
not. Okay,
Even
bear with
though
me.
she would never, like if they helped Terrason, she would not.
No, quite true. He had seen Aylin do terrible things. He still dreamed of her gutting Archer Finn in cold blood. Still dreamed of what she'd left of Graves' body in that alley. Still dreamed of her butchering men like cattle in Rifthold and in Endovia. And knew just how unfeeling and brutal she could turn.
Okay, let's fucking unpack that
Okay.
bullshit. Because,
Okay,
he still
Motherfucker.
dreamed of her gutting Archer Finn, aka the man who orchestrated the murder of her best friend. She still dreamed of what she'd left of Graves' body, the person who killed her best friend and mutilated her body.
brutally mutilated it. Brutally.
Still dreamed of her butchering men like cattle. I'm sorry, when she was an assassin for Ardalin, she actually was helping people fake their deaths.
And also,
Literally.
the only time he witnessed her butchering men like cattle was when she went to rescue him after he got
Was him
kidnapped.
And in Endovia, when she was a slave and had a mental breakdown a year after she had lost Sam.
This
Fuck
man.
This fucking stupid cunt.
It's so stupid.
Okay, we have more.
Oh, good.
Bear with me. Aylin had indeed changed, grown into a queen, was still growing into one, but he knew that there were no restraints, no inner ones, on how far Aylin would go to protect those she loved, protect her kingdom. And if someone stood in her way, barred her from protecting them, no line existed to cross within Aylin in regard to that. No lines. So now he's saying all of the good
just so
parts of her
angry.
are what makes her so loyal, is what makes her such a liability. And it's like,
And honestly, if someone fucking stood between me and my family too, yeah, I'd fucking kill them.
And he's acting like he wouldn't do this for Dorian.
Literally.
yes.
The hypocrisy is a bit rife.
But hasn't he heard her say, for a better kingdom?
For a better
yeah.
world. Like,
They're literally
he's not
saying,
the one
like,
who brought down the glass castle. She was the one that saved a fucking city.
Mhm.
yeah, Dorian was the one that was like, fuck this castle
Fuck.
up, I'm destroying it.
Kill the people.
She saved him twice, three times.
She saved
Multiple.
him so many times.
I
Ugh.
literally can't in my brain fathom how, like, these people are being like, how do you know that if we said yes, we'll help you and like that we can trust that she won't turn around and then backstab us. And it's like Kale's now saying in his head like, oh, well, she would kill anyone who stood in her way. And it's like, well, they're not standing in her way then, are
Exactly
they? They're
right.
helping.
Yeah.
He
So
all
how-
needed to say.
You could have been saying, actually, she is extremely loyal to her allies, really goes out of her way to protect people. So if you're her ally, you will have her at your back.
Yeah,
Exactly
and if you're
right.
her enemy, you will fucking burn.
Yeah.
This man, he essentially blames Aelin for costing them this war.
Yeah.
And I hope he dies.
Yeah, look, big backslide. While Kale is still being a little fucking bitch, Cashin picks the lock to his garden door and just like pops in and he's like, hello, what's up? I've got some news.
Good day, sir.
Good day, sir. They discuss the info that, like, Argon, the scheming political brother, forgot to tell Kale at dinner, and that is the fact that a fuck ton of fire lancers were ordered by Rolf for ships, like, so many, which is an extremely good, like, purchase. It's a huge amount of money, really good for their economy. And Kale asks Cashin when his father is going to meet with the trade, like, people next, and he's, like, scheming up a plan.
I like the way that his mind is working. Only in this regard, though.
Only in
No
this
other
regard.
way. Yeah.
Of course, a white man is like, I can win people over with money.
Yeah. Money and weapons. Yes.
Yes. It's the language of the white man.
It is. It really is.
So, Nesryn and Sartak are waiting for the shifter to heal. It's been 10 days, which leaves little time to look through the towers. Her and Sartak are continuing to get closer, which we love. And one night over the campfire song, they ask for stories from Adelan. But she offers to sing in its stead. And this is literally
My
the
moment.
Feyre painting situation.
It is.
It's like,
it
do you
is.
think
I'm
she
going to-
sounds like a squawking pigeon?
I'm
Or do you
going
think
to
she-
fucking fight all of you.
No.
She is a
Brian's
beautiful...
gonna see me tomorrow, and she's gonna fucking tackle me to the ground.
Oh,
This
God.
is like the dream everyone had growing up, where like you watch the movies and the girl's like, you know, just singing, and she's actually got this gorgeous voice, but just had to hide the whole time. And this is that moment, and it was giving me so much.
I understand that, but there is a time and a place for that moment to occur. They've asked for a story, and she's like, how about a song?
She actually comes out with the SpongeBob song, the AMPFIR. She's like,
Look, she
Oh my
offered though. She was like, "This is what I can contribute," and they were like, "Sure, we'll take that deal." So they
Imagine
agreed to
if
the
she's
terms.
like, actually, I'm a fantastic interpretive dancer, so let me show you the stories.
But yes, anyway, she offers to sing. They are like, absolutely yes, let's hear it. When she begins, Sartak is speechless again from absolute
Well, she's a-
agony.
"No,
Yeah, he's
she's
just so uncomfortable.
talented, and he's so moved."
He's like, this
Not
is giving
hear
me,
a bad word.
this is giving me the biggest ick, iffy vibes.
Iffy vibes. He picks up like a braid of
He actually just rips out his braid. He's like, "Iffy."
Iffy. Everything's
Iffy.
really iffy right now.
But yes, so Sartak is speechless. And they hold
It's
eye
so good.
contact, and it's a whole fucking mood. So this is the quote. She had the sense of Sartak going very still, had the sense that there was nothing hard or laughing on his face. But even as the night moved on, as Nesryn sang in that beautiful mountain hall, she felt Sartak's stare, different from any he'd given before. And though she told herself she should, Nesryn did not look away.
I love it so much. I love
It's
it so
been-
much.
Okay.
So beautiful to think
But
of
now-
like her just being
Now picture it is terrible singing, and the look that he's giving her is one of pure, awkward, uncomfortable vibes, and she's just maintaining eye contact while singing at him. And he's like, this is fucked. I thought you were hot. Everything's changed.
She's a great singer, and I will fight everyone.
Oh, I
Like
can
I will fight
show
everyone who thinks that Feyre can't paint. I will fuck all of you up. I've got
Look.
a weapon, and I'm not afraid to use it.
It's just SJM needs to sprinkle these talents in, just in random places. Like Feyre
she likes
decorates her
people having
entire house,
artistic. She likes people having artistic expressions.
which they acknowledge and show themselves. They have no humility when it comes to it. But you know what? That's fine. Fuck it up.
Yeah, look, I'm happy to think that, you know, they're good at singing, good at painting, but I will also have a chuckle to think of the alternate.
It's a funny joke. But I will also kick off. Anyway.
If I mention it around you too many times, you will kill me.
Look, next they're in the area and Nesryn spots a rook on his own. His rider died and apparently he can choose another, but he's just lonely right now. Sartak puts the invite to Nesryn to test him out, but she doesn't because she'll have to go back to Ardlin soon and it's not fair on him and it's just really sad. Adopt, don't shop. They travel with
Literally.
Falcon and Borde. They travel with Falcon and Borde to other towers, and when they're at the first one, they hear Kadara scream. But when they emerge, they find another clan of Rukin are there, and a young man, Vorte's aide, swaggers up to them, and his name is Yaron. He ran over and said hi. So apparently they also had hatchlings stolen, and they realize that it's about the spiders, and they're just oh fuck, stressful.
Roll.
Sartak takes leadership and he's like, my dudes, do not stress, we've got this, just keep the babies safe, I am pro-life.
Don't kill the babies.
Jesus. Vorte and Yaron are really tense and are really angry at each other, but we discover that they are betrothed. And I am immediately what is this dynamic?
Yeah. Interesting, isn't it?
I love it.
Right, we'll get into that a bit later, but for now we're back with Stale Lettuce. And he waltzes on in to a meeting with the Emperor and his visors. He doesn't waltz in, he rolls in, because remember, he's seated.
Yeah. He pogos in.
He does.
On his third leg.
On his third leg, he just bounces on in. He places another order for fire lancers during the meeting and uses the trunks of gold he brought into the country to pay for it. Because he's like, if you're not using it, I may as well. It's also that was Aylin's, but sure, why not, Cal?
Yeah.
When in
For
Rome.
reference, Aylin has already purchased a bunch of fire lancers in advance.
She's a forward thinker, isn't she?
Yeah.
She is. She's got so many plans.
The Kargan is pierced and Kale is like, well, Soz, but we need your help. And the Kargan's just not having any of it. He's like, dude, war's coming and you'll lose. And Kale is like, don't make the same mistake that I did. We don't know what that mistake was. I think it's just being a dumb fuck, but here we are.
Probably how Kale was like, if I just ignore this problem, it will affect other people and not me. And it's like, actually, it will take your legs.
Actually, it will take your legs.
It's already taken your daughter, but it could come for more as well.
But the Kargan is like, mate, you can't tell me what to do, so suck my ass. And Kale's like, I don't do that. That's gross. But then
only do that to Dorian.
Kale, he's trying to stand up. He's like, I'm going to show you how serious I am by standing. And yet he can't because his legs still do not work. So then he gets dragged on out of there by the guards in his chair and he's humiliated. He's upset. He's angry at his legs. It's not a great time. He goes back to his room and Irene's like, no time for sulking, boy. Stand the fuck up.
Kale can't. He's angry. Irene's angry and they start fighting. Fighting about how they feel. Those feelings that neither of them has dared to even think about. Now is the time to argue about them.
Yep.
Kale is slamming her with shit. She's slamming him right back until we get this moment. Yet you were assigned to me because your healer on high saw that no matter how high you climbed in that tower, you're still that girl in Fenharrow. A laugh came out of him, icy and bitter. I knew another woman who lost as much as you, and do you know what she did with it? That loss? He could barely stop the words from pouring out, could barely think over the roar in his head. She hunted down the people responsible for it and obliterated them. What the hell have you bothered to do these years?
Hypocrite.
So all of a sudden he's proud of Aylin killing people.
You can't have it both ways.
No!
And then we get this other quote. Kale felt the words hit their mark, felt the stillness shudder through her body, right as he pushed up, right as his weight adjusted and knees bent, and he found himself standing too far. He'd gone too far. He'd never once believed those things, even thought them. Not about Irene.
Yeah, well, mate, words hurt.
These are the consequences of your actions, my dude.
You stupid
Irene
fuck.
is not okay. She's like, fuck you. And she goes to leave just as Kale takes a step towards her.
Screaming.
I'm also like, sit the fuck down, sir. You've done and fucked up now.
Yeah.
But anyway, she stumbles forward to meet him. But when he apologizes, she's like, I don't know if I believe you. You said some pretty hurtful shit. And keeps moving away from him as he keeps moving toward her. We get a quote. He didn't understand, shocking, how she could be so delicate, so small, when she had overturned his life entirely, worked miracles with those hands and that soul, this woman who had crossed mountains and seas. And it's like, you said the opposite to her face, but sure, why not?
It's still beautiful.
He soon realizes that she's purposely making him walk towards her, and he walks and walks until she's up against the wall. And
Screaming.
then he braces his hands. Irene just queefs silently. She's like, oh.
Sorry, excuse me.
Oh, sorry, I got a bit excited. He braces his hands on the wall behind her and kisses her, which I'm sort of like, I hate you still, but okay, sure, why not? I can get behind
love it.
romance. So they kiss. We get a quote. It was like waking up or being born or fall. I hate it when people say it like being born. You don't remember. You're an infant, but sure.
You're an infant.
You're an infant. You're an unaborted. No, okay. Okay, it was like waking up or being born or falling out of the sky. It was an answer and a song, and she could not think or feel fast enough. Okay, this is quite nice. I'm happy for her. I still do not like him, but...
Yeah. After they've had their make-out session, we get this interaction between them. What do we now? Irene asked quietly, for she didn't know how to go back. Cale didn't reply. He just stretched out one leg wholly in front of him, then the other, did it again, marvelling. We don't
Then
look
the
back.
other, because there's three, remember?
Then the other, the third one, the biggest of them all. And then he says, we don't look back, he said, meeting her stare. It helps no one and nothing to look back. The way he said it, it seemed as if it meant something more, to him at least. But Cale's smile grew, his eyes lighting as he added, we can only go on. He's just quoting fucking Aylin.
Yeah.
Like it's
The
nothing.
woman he cannot trust.
But he's like, you know what, she is quite motivational.
Yeah, she should be a speaker at some point.
Oh, Irina's been going into his spine injury. She's been going into his asshole.
Out through the asshole, into the spine.
Exactly like that. And she's been fighting that magic multiple times a day. She's in his ass fighting the poos that are trying to come out. She's like, whack, whack, whack.
She's like, you've got to get some more fibre in your diet, for fuck's sake.
Fuck's sake.
I recommend dried apricots. I discovered that today with my child. Laxative effect. Go for it.
Wowzers.
Big rolls.
Wow.
Wow. So she's also joining him at the trainings as well, and he's walking with a cane, which is awesome. She gets real hot and bothered watching him train one morning, and they walk back to his rooms, and she literally pulls him into a supply closet, or the equivalent of a supply closet.
Amazing.
And makes out with him. And then she does this thing that I don't like, which is she licks the sweat from his neck. You dirty fucking bitch, Irene.
Surprise.
Well, yeah.
But also, this happened in kind of midnight when
It did.
Aylin and Cale were dating. They would go and fondle each other in a supply closet.
There's a lot of repetition. He only knows one game, and that's it.
I've got a specific set of moves, and once we don't dramatically break up because I was somehow involved in the death of your best friend, I don't know what to do with myself.
No, I will
literally.
impregnate you, that's what.
Yep.
And you can't leave me.
Absolutely. But they almost get caught, and Irene is super scared. She's like, oh my God. But she keeps working on the injury, and Cale thinks that if this is all he will be able to do, then he will still fight. He'll still fight in the battle if he can only go on the cane, because he'll do it for Irene. And that's
But
really
also,
nice.
she let you fucking walk again. And he's like, well, I guess I'll accept it if this is the best I could be. Be grateful,
Yeah.
sir.
You're lucky you're even fucking standing. We could have taken your legs and sold them on the black market.
We could have. We could
We
have
were
taken
getting
all
a
three.
good bargain for those legs.
We fucking were.
We were
And then
using
one
them as
night...
weapons at one stage as well.
We were.
We were. We've stolen his shoes. We're going to use the legs as weapons. Fuck it up. One night they're going to dinner and Irene is extra jumpy. She's all over the shop. And she apparently spoke with Hazar about going to the oasis in the desert. And she is going to throw Irene a birthday party there. Cale and Irene can do some investigation on the vag while they're there. So that's good. Cale is invited, of course. And Cale's like, well, I'm going to have to figure out a better present than a desert retreat. And Irene simply responds with, I have everything I need.
Oh,
Sweet.
bless her, but always ask for diamonds. What's the worst
Okay.
that could happen?
Bless her, but no.
Sweet,
You need
but
to be
my
a
love
material
language
girl.
Yeah, I mean, my love language is gifts, so okay.
So wrong.
We're in Nesryn's point of view now, and they're planning on travelling to the other tower. Vorte can't come because she is the heir of their clan. So she's like, well, if I can't go, then Sartak shouldn't go because he's one of the heirs to the Kargan. And Sartak is like, yep, royally fucked because he's a royal and he can say that. While they fly to the tower, Falcon is a little baby mouse in Nesryn's pocket.
Baby mouse.
There's a little baby mouse, and he's having a snooze while Nesryn starts asking about if he would truly give up the crown if it meant being denied the chance to fight in wars. And Sartak says yes, and it's like, oh, a man willing to make sacrifices. Adore. We then learn details of Adore.
I thought you were just being like a door, like a physical door, like. And I was like, why?
Hold
I was
the
like,
door.
why is he a
if you
door?
will.
I don't get it. But no, you
He's
mean
a door.
like I adore. Yeah,
Adore. Yeah, adore. Okay. We learn details of Vorte's mother's death and how Sartak had to carry her body back from their visit to another clan. Very sad. Yeah, look, we're just going to move past that because we don't have time for trauma. Trauma's coming. We learn of Vorte's betrothal and how her and Yawn are at each other's throats. They participate in these games called The Gathering, and Vorte always wins. But at the last games, Yawn visited Vorte before the games, and then when she won, Yawn's father stepped forward and announced their betrothal, which is a bit odd because apparently Vorte had never refuted the betrothal but was also shocked when it was announced. And it's like, not cool. Not cool. Consent is key.
consent is key.
That's it. Nesryn and Sartak and Mr. Mousy arrive to the tower.
The
It's
Mousy.
covered. It's
As
covered in
he
spiderweb.
shall now formerly
Formerly known as Mr. Mousy. It's covered in sky.
It's covered in spiderwebs.
It's covered in spiderwebs, which is a huge fuck off yikes. They circle high above for some time, just checking out the terrain, making sure it's doable. And Nesryn
Sartak
notices...
is super doable.
He's so doable. Nesryn notices Kadara keeps looking at the certain mountain peaks nearby, and Nesryn tells Kadara to circle it but keep her distance. And so Tak doesn't even have to give the order. Kadara already does it.
Kadara's like, okay, mummy.
Yeah, okay, mummy, I'll do it. That's when they see a little birdie, a little hatchling.
I just blocked out this whole scene and now I'm just like, oh, I know it's coming.
Here it is. It just is waddling around, screaming for its mum, and they try to get in to save the hatchling, but when Kadara gets close and tries to get back out of the mountain peaks, she's trapped in a huge fucking spider web. Yes.
It was a trap, obviously.
It was a trap.
It was indeed.
It was a trap. It was a trap. They fall. Sartak curls his body around Nesryn's to take the full force of the impact. Oh my god, he could take the full force of my impact, or I could take the full force of his impact. I don't know. We'll make it work. The logistics are
Someone take
unsure.
my... I will
Someone
take
take my
his
impact.
I will take everyone's impact at this point.
Oh, okay then.
When they land, Nesryn cuts the cords of the saddle from them, and Sartak is okay. Thank God. I needed him to be okay. And Kadara, unfortunately, is not doing well. And the hatchling's gone. It was thrown away towards these, cave mouths.
He got yeeted.
Got yeeted. It's about to get yeeted as well. Sartak runs to Kadara, and Nesryn's like, I'll go get the hatchling, and goes to get it when a fucking spider pincer just stabs the hatchling and yeets it.
Yeah, look,
Fucks it.
I feel like it was unnecessary for the death of a baby bird.
Wow. It's squawking for help and then boom, dead.
Boom.
Nesryn is like, well, that is fucked. So she's firing her arrows and kills the spider. Sartak is trying to get Kadara to go because if she stays there, she's too big for the space. She's severely injured and Falcon's magic isn't strong enough to change into a rook. Nesryn just keeps firing arrows because a fucking swarm of these giant spiders is emerging. Kadara manages to get herself up, but she can't carry riders. So Nesryn and Sartak run. And that's where we're going to leave part 2.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Brilliant.
Oh,
Brilliant.
how did we get here? Where did you come from? Where did you go?
Where'd you come from? Najo? That's what Nesryn sings. That's what she sings at the campfire.
Get someone at the campfire. But it's like a really slow, like, cover, like an emotional cover of God No Joke.
Can't fucking cope.
Oh, God.
Tune in next week for part 3 of Tower of Dawn. And then after that, we are diving into Kingdom of Ash, which is probably going to be our last book for the year that we're covering on the podcast.
It's also going to be probably like, it's probably going to be like 8 parts.
Yeah,
I'm like,
likely.
how are we going to split this?
Likely we'll
We've
be.
got no fucking idea.
Or it's going to be like very long episodes.
Everything is important and everything must be discussed.
Exactly. There's nothing you can cut away.
No, nothing at all.
In the meantime, obviously next week we will wrap up Tower of Dawn. You'll get our music references and our fan art. In the meantime, please remember to like, follow and subscribe. Please rate us wherever you listen. We're available on Spotify and YouTube. Please find us on Instagram and TikTok. Anything else, guys?
Try not to die by giant fuck-off spiders.
Yeah, try not to be impaled by a spider.
Keep your baby hatchlings close.
Wow, we ended it on a surprisingly pro-life message.
Yeah, okay, weird. Also, just
No,
if you
kill
want
the
to.
babies.
You don't want that responsibility. Just get rid of it. It's fine.
Kill the babies.
Oh, fuck it up.
Okay, that sounds more like us. Great.
Bye, guys.
Bye.